All right, come on in, come on in, come on in, come on in. Happy November to everybody, man. And it's hard to believe that one more month and we're about to be in 2024, man. That's incredible. That's crazy. But look, I got a special guest, big time special guest, man. Former Washington running back and currently works in the Seattle area covering Washington Huskies and the Seattle Seahawks. Big T, what's the word, my man?
Man, good morning, man. Like you said, it's the first of the month. Let me tell you what I did this morning, man. My son is in the sixth grade. He's always, in the morning time dragging. I have to shake him and wake him up in the morning. This morning I said, Alexa, play first of the month by Bone Thugs and Harmony. So I woke him up and I said, it's the first of the month.
No, you did. No, you
I did.
did.
I did.
Alexa got busy with it, huh?
Yeah, I had to say, Alexa, stop. Finally,
Stop.
because my boy was
Stop.
mad at me.
Hey, Alexa had little man lost in the sauce for a minute, huh?
Just for a minute.
Man. Well, that's what's up, man. This game, man, is really to say it's a big game. I think it's an understatement. A big game for you guys. Big game for USC. USC is out to really try to reclaim some things, improve some things, man. But then on the flip side, Washington. Let me just say congratulations, number one, the phenomenal year that Washington is having right now, man. They're doing their thing, man. I got nothing but much respect for how the program is being handled right now. But man, you guys are on a mission right now to do some things, man. Has this exceeded? Before we get into this, has it exceeded expectations? Did you already have these expectations, or where you at with it right now?
Well, to be honest, I had big expectations for this team after the last season ended. We ended on a high note, a big win versus Texas. Anytime you can go down and beat a team like Texas, in a bowl game is huge. You know what I'm saying? And I think we put a number on Texas last year. And again, last year this Washington Husky team lost 2 games, and they're returning so many players this season, including number 9 at the quarterback position, Michael Penix Jr. And so I was really confident in what he was going to bring to the table this season and what the Washington Huskies going to be able to do. That being said, with the college football playoff rankings being put out yesterday, I was excited to see the UW Huskies still at the number 5 position, still having an opportunity to make it to the playoffs. They have exceeded my expectations on one hand, but at the same time, we're setting a new standard here in Washington, man. Going back to
Yeah,
the days when we were in the Rose Bowl every year, when we were in the national championship hunt year after year in the late 80s and early 90s. So again, expectations have been changing around here in Washington and the bar is being raised. And this is kind of the thing we expect, Jay. And I'll be honest with you. Like you said, this is a big weekend. I've actually had this weekend circled for an entire
no
year.
doubt.
I knew this was going to be a very important game for UW. Turns out it's going to be an important game for USC as well. So big things are going to be happening in Los Angeles this weekend, bro.
Yeah, there's gonna be some big things, and man, as you alluded to, you were a part of some of those teams that had that pedigree, man, that national championship type of pedigree, man, and now you had Chris Peterson to come in, and then you had the other coach to come in, and then now you got Kalen DeBoer, and coincidentally, man, my in the Pac-12, man, there's always I've always kind of admired these coaches as of late, and Oregon State coach Jonathan Smith, Kyle Whittingham from Utah, and then your coach. Of course, I like what Coach Prime is doing, but he has to get the pieces around him. But your coach, yeah, just the way they conduct their business, man, I think that he's just handling that program very, very well. And can you talk about him a little bit, man? I mean, is he exceeding expectations? Because you guys had Chris Peterson took you guys to the playoffs once
Yeah.
before.
Yeah, it was tough when Chris Peterson lost. When he left the program. Actually, he didn't really leave the program after the first year. He stepped down, let Jimmy Lake take over, and he was still involved in the program as an advisor. And I thought that was a huge loss for this team. He actually was able to keep the ship sailing in the right direction, keep these players on point, and the program was going in a great direction under his leadership. Then suddenly he left. We had a year under Jimmy Lake when there was a lot of turmoil coming off of COVID season. But now Kalen DeBoer comes in, and at that time we were looking for a big name coach to take over the program because
Yeah,
we were
yeah,
expecting big things. Kalen DeBoer has absolutely come in, and exceeded every expectation, which is tough
Yeah.
to say because everywhere he's been a winner. You think
Yeah.
about this guy, man. He has an incredible record as a head coach. He was in Sioux Falls, where he won an incredible amount of games. He comes here to UW. He was at Fresno State, where
Yeah.
he took
Fresno
that
State.
program to ultimate heights. And then he comes here to Washington, and all he's done here is win. Again, I think he's lost 2 games.
Yeah.
So you look at his record so far, it's incredible, man. So we've been very fortunate. He's got this team going in the right direction, the school going in the right direction, this program going in the right direction, and hopefully we can keep him here for a long time.
No doubt. Yeah, no doubt, man. I will lock him down ASAP. When you're talking about this series, man, when we come USC versus Washington, USC absolutely, they lead this series totally like 51-30-4. They lead the series, but we thought that was actually going to be lost, due to the fact that USC and Washington, well, USC was going to the Big Ten. Now they're going to the Big Ten. They're going to still kind of keep that rivalry up. Man, when your honest thoughts, though, when you think about this game, when you woke up this morning, because I'm sure feelings gonna be changing every day because I'm seeing different stats, I see different things throughout the week, and of course I've been monitoring all these teams, man, pretty closely, man, and we got some teams that we both played. And I'm not saying that's a measuring stick, but it's a measuring stick to an extent.
It is.
What's your feeling though? Just your gut feeling. If you just say, and we'll get into the teams, we'll get into the numbers, but what's your gut feeling about this matchup, man?
It's weird. If you asked me if you asked me at different points in the season, I would probably give you a different answer every single time. So,
Yeah,
like 2 weeks ago, coming off the Oregon game, or even before the Oregon game,
that was an incredible win.
Yeah, it was a great win. It was a great time to be in the city of Seattle, a great time to be in Husky Stadium, a great time to be a dog, of course. So if you had talked to me before that game or shortly after that game, I would have been like, oh, I think that UW is gonna wash SC. You know what I'm saying? Because SC was coming off a couple of hard, tough games,
Yeah,
a couple of losses and a couple of really, really games that they played tightly where they should have probably blown their opponent out.
no
And
doubt.
UW was playing out of their minds at that time. Now, flash forward to today. UW comes off of a disappointing game versus Arizona State in Husky Stadium, where we had to have a pick 6 at the end of the game to come away with a victory, where the team just looked really lackluster. Follow that up with a game versus Stanford, where everybody and their great grandmama thought UW was about to blow the socks off of Stanford. And
Yeah,
again, they had another subpar game where it just looked like it looked like UW was having a really bad practice. Like there was no excitement, no height, no energy. The team just looked flat. And so, that being said, I'm hoping that they come to this game versus the Trojans with a little more energy, a little more excitement, a little more, hey, this is our time. Everything is on the table for us. We got to
yeah,
show up. So we look at USC now. They're coming off another tough game versus Cal.
yeah.
So this is a game where I think both teams really have something to prove. And if they come out full steam, full boat, doing what both teams are known for doing, I think it should be a shootout, man. And really, literally a shootout, like the old Wild West, man.
It's gonna be a wild, wild west. And yeah, to what you alluded to, talking about the common opponents that we both played. We played Stanford, and you guys, we've seen it last week. When I turned the game on, I was shocked when I seen it. I actually seen a Stanford player drop the ball, and I was like, man, these guys actually got a chance to win this game. And the score ended up being 42-33. And then, of course, we played Stanford, beat them 56-10. And we know that games, you can't judge it by that, but it just kind of gives you an idea whether a team could kind of somewhat hang or what not. But then we played Arizona State 42-28, beat them. And I've seen with you guys 15-7. But this is why I don't like the media. They pump a lot of this negative information about these college football teams, whether it's Arizona, whether it's Colorado, Arizona State, whether it's Colorado, whether it's Arizona. And one of the things that I was trying to relay over to, especially to the USC fans, these are college football athletes. Nobody's going to go and lay down anywhere, man. These guys are competing on all types of level. and you gotta come out there and play. And they got high caliber athletes on each side of the field, man. What's your thoughts on that? Just on the same guys teams that we've played.
I mean, you hit the nail on the head, man. These are college athletes. These are the superior athletes, the most highly recruited athletes in the country, right? You talk about guys that are 4 and 5 star athletes at USC, the same thing at UW. And everybody can play, right?
Yeah,
Everybody has gone through the workout programs. Everybody's been playing since, they were 5 years old. Everybody comes into these training programs and they're all elite athletes. The challenge is each and every given week is that they're still student athletes. These
yeah.
guys are 18, 19, 20 years old, and they're dealing with so many different things on any given week, right? And so I think that's one of the challenges when it comes to being a coach and trying to manage some of these college football teams, because there are so many different variables that go into an athlete every single week, whether it's I got homework, I got tests, I got finals, I got girlfriend problems, or my legs hurt, or I'm not eating right, or I'm not doing whatever. So many different variables, right? Think back at the beginning of the season when Colorado was the rage, right? Everybody and their great grandma want to be a part of the Colorado Buffaloes organization. All the superstars were going to the game on the sideline,
Yeah,
on the bandwagon. They were like, oh, this Colorado team, Dion got them going in the right direction, right? They won a couple of games. They played USC pretty tight to the end of the game, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
then what has happened recently? They've fallen off the cliff, man.
yeah.
Nobody even cares about Buffalo anymore because these young superior athletes are now finding out what it feels like to play in a Power 5 conference week
Man,
in and week out. And
yeah,
so you're facing the best competition week in and week out. So that being said, you look at where UW has been over the last couple of weeks. Like I said, they've had a lackluster performance versus Arizona State and Stanford. What have they been dealing with? I come to find out that the Huskies have had a bout with the flu running through
yeah.
the
I've
team the
heard
past
that.
week.
I've heard that.
Yeah, so Michael Penix Jr., the leader of this program, was dealing with the flu last week, where everybody was thinking, "Oh, he's been injured. What's wrong with Michael Penix? Is he mentally there or whatnot?" Turns out the kid had the flu. So that happens from week to week, and there's so many variables that go into college football. All these athletes are great, so any given week, any given team could win.
No doubt. And speaking of Michael Penix, man, he's leading all of the country right now as far as stat leaders, as far as the passing yards. He's at 2,945 yards. And then Caleb Williams is right behind him at 2,646 yards. I think Caleb I don't see him on the Heisman board as much as he was last year. Michael Penix, I think he's that guy. I think he can easily win it if he just stays locked in. However, I think, and we're gonna talk about this. I think he's gonna run into a roadblock this weekend, man. And we'll talk about that. We'll talk about it. But
yes.
So when matchup, they always say styles make fights. I want to know, in your opinion, though, from an offensive perspective, the pressure, man, because I followed Michael Penix for a while. I followed him at Indiana. Incredible player. I think he was a part of that team that won against Ohio State. I think that game was at Indiana.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Yep,
I remember watching him. And that's when I really first started noticing how he was. He was a gunslinger and absolutely just elusive on the field. But then when he came over to Washington, I watched him last year against Michigan State. I said, man, this dude, it seemed like he took it to another level. Like his game just elevated, man. I don't know if that's due to the coach that he's with right now that really just kind of really polishing them up. But Michael Penix is doing his thing. But one thing I have noticed, and you can tell me if I'm wrong about my assessment, if you get pressure on him, he kind of gets a little flustered at times. If you get some pressure on him, am I seeing that wrong, or what do you think?
Yeah, Jay, I think you're seeing that wrong. Honestly, that is one of his best qualities. Like, he remains calm under pressure at all times, and which is, like, again, one of his outstanding qualities. He doesn't really, he just steps up in the pocket sometimes. Sometimes he makes bad decisions with the ball. Sometimes he tries
that's what I'm saying. It's like some 50-50 balls sometimes that'll go up.
Sometimes he really does have a lot of faith in his receivers, and I think he has even more faith in his arm. And sometimes, like I said, when plays are extended, he will try to make plays that aren't necessarily there.
Yeah.
So that will happen. But as far as calm, cool, and collected, he is one of the most calm guys I have seen in a long time in the pocket. He doesn't get rattled. He doesn't get shaken. When he makes mistakes, he's one of the guys that brushes it off and flushes it. I don't know if you saw this, but it was back in the game against Oregon. It was coming down to crunch time. The Huskies were behind in the fourth quarter, needing a drive at the end of the game to come down and score a touchdown to win that game. And he's on the sideline, Jay, and he was freestyling. Him and his wide receiver was making a beat, and he was rhyming about going down and scoring this last touchdown. So
freestyle it.
Yeah, he was freestyling. They got it on camera. He was on the
so
sideline.
in other words, there was no major pressure. He just kind of took it for what it was and just kind of
he has ultimate confidence in himself. Let's put it like that.
Yeah.
He has ultimate confidence in himself. So sometimes you'll see him get pressured and it look like things are falling apart for him, but he has the ability to come back to even, come back to zero. I'm not too high up. I'm not too far down. And then I'll just make these plays. I'll just stay on schedule and make these plays.
So you don't think any type of pressure from Penix will somebody just sent me that I see him freestyle on the sideline. Won't fluster him at all, man. You think he'll be pretty much calm, cool, and collective. I think that's one of our strengths is our defensive line, our defensive front, defensive ends, edge rushers. I think those guys are the guys that, in order to win this game, I think we're gonna have to disrupt him to another level, man. I mean, just to allow him just to sit there and pick us apart, I don't think that's the way to go, man. I mean, as far as what you've seen, which teams, I know Arizona, I mean, got after it the most and really kind of disrupted the most. I know it was one game where he didn't even throw a touchdown. I think that was Arizona. Was that Arizona game?
It was Arizona State. I think it was Arizona State.
Okay.
Arizona State. When Arizona State came to town, he did not throw a touchdown. We scored like I said, on a pick six. And that was how we got our W against Arizona State. Again, that game, I know he was. I think he was rattled, man, because just having it was a combination of things. I think the whole team was coming off that big win in Oregon. I call it the hangover, right?
Yeah.
They were so pumped up. There was so much stuff going on in Seattle, and I think they got to read in their own press clippings a little bit. You know, everybody was like they knocked off the mighty Oregon Ducks, and it was a huge game. It was a sellout. The fans rushed the field, and I think maybe a lot of the guys started smelling themselves. You know what I'm saying? And then
you got to give it to that was a big time win, man. I mean, to be able to Oregon, and right now Oregon is playing some pretty good football, but you guys got the nod over them right now, just given the fact that you guys beat them.
Yep, they are. We're fifth right now in the CFP, and they're sixth.
Yeah.
So they're still in the mix. They're still in the hunt. They're still a tough team. They were a tough team when we played them. We were fortunate enough to come away with a W. But again, right now we're coming close to the end of the season where it's crunch time, where every win is important. Every game is important. Every play is important. And again, this weekend versus SC, I think the UW Huskies have to prove a lot, not just to themselves, but to the nation, you know, that we're deserving of that number 5 ranking.
So as far as your offensive line, I mean, has that been your strength other than Penix on the offense?
Absolutely. I think, you know, they've done a really good job of keeping him upright this season. You talked about the pressure and him, you know, maybe sometimes crumbling under the pressure. The thing is, the offensive line has done a really, really good job of keeping him upright. And that pass blocking protection has been on point. We've had a few injuries. Our starting center is out for the season, but they've had some guys fill in and do very well. These guys work really well together. So, as always, UW Husky offensive line has always been a strong point. It's really been one of the strong points over the history of that team. So I always get these big boys from the country out here in Washington up there blocking, and a few guys from you know, the island, the Polynesian brothers out there doing their thing. So offensive line has been a pretty good strength.
One of our issues the run game.
Was that?
How about your run game? Like where you guys?
So that's the problem with this team right now. And
Yeah.
it's a weird problem that we have because normally when you look at football teams, they want to run to set up the pass. You'll come out on first down and second down, maybe try to pick up 3-4 yards so that you get into a second and manageable, third and manageable, right? This team steps up, uses the pass to set up the run. We coming out the gate trying to put the ball down the field, right? And so sometimes that backfires if you're not able to convert on first and second down. Now you're trying to run the ball when you have like 10 yards when it's second and 10, third and 10. And defenses are able to pin their ears back and come back and get you. So that being said, we do have a really good running back, and his name is Dylan Johnson, transferred here from Mississippi State. Big kid, like 6 foot, 6'1", 215 pounds. And this is a guy that can not only get north and south and make yardage, but he's pretty fleet-footed too, man. He's pretty fast. I like the way he runs. I think he's averaging like 6.5 yards per carry. The problem is we just get into situations where we're so dependent on Michael Penix and our wide receiver core to make plays that we don't feed our running game early enough. So I think we're getting to that part of the year, Jay, where you got to be able to run.
You got to be. I mean, I totally agree with you. We're in the same boat, and we have a great running back. He's one of the top 5 in the country. Marshawn Lloyd came from South Carolina, and he's absolutely a beast, man. And he can get 100 yards a game, but it's just all about will we feed him or not. And I get it. We got similar style. I view USC and I view Washington kind of like on the same trajectory in a sense when you're talking about the quarterback wise, because they both have outstanding quarterbacks. They both driven by their quarterback when you look at both offenses. But flipping over to the defense, man, I seen a stat this morning that really had me kind of lost in the sauce, and I was surprised. Now I knew USC. I knew we were kind of ranked at the bottom of the barrel, man, as far as from a defensive standpoint. Offense, we already know we good. Washington's ranked number 5 in the country. Offense, USC's ranked number 10 in the country, 11 in the country as far as offense. But defensive-wise, USC is ranked number 111, and Washington is ranked 95th. We got 130 schools, that in FBS, and so I mean, wow, I was surprised at that. What's your thoughts on that, man? Defensively, where's the struggles at?
Well, defensively, Washington again has been struggling all season, as you alluded to, man. We're ranked pretty low as well. Couple of our challenges are, number one, we need a better pass rush up front, and I thought we were going to have that this year. We had some very highly touted guys up on the defensive front and coming off the edge that were supposed to be making a bunch of big plays this year. Unfortunately, a lot of teams have schemed for that, and they've taken them out of the play. Our offensive pass rush hasn't been that stout. Our run defense has been hampered by, some guys that have been missing in the middle of our defensive line. One of our top defensive linemen, his name is Tuli Asanoa, big Polynesian kid who's missed the last few games. He's been dealing with an undisclosed injury.
Isn't he coming back, though? I thought I heard he's supposed to be coming back.
So hopefully he's coming back this weekend. Last weekend, we saw him in a uniform on the sideline at Stanford, but he wasn't playing. Like, he was only going to be used in an emergency situation. So hopefully this week he's gotten the treatment and he's gotten the rehab that he needs, and then he'll be able to get in there and cause some disruption, because without that, I'm looking at your rushing attack with Marshawn Lloyd. I think, he'll be able to eat heavily if we don't have that stout defensive line doing what they need to do, and our linebackers stepping up. Another thing we've had to deal with is a lot of injuries, especially in the defensive backfield. All of our safeties are hurt. All of them been hurt.
Yeah, we just got confirmed yesterday. One of our safeties, Zion Branch, he's out for the year. I'm like,
out
man.
For the season. That's what I just saw. He was injured. The young freshman for you guys who was in there. He had a pretty good game last week, and now he's out. So injuries play a part in this game, especially this time of the season. You get late in the season, guys get banged up, nicked up, and so you have to account for those things. And then it comes back to the old saying, next man up, right? As a backup, as a second string guy, a guy in the depth chart, you have to have been plugged in all season long. Like, this is your shot. Be ready for it and take it when it comes. And so, unfortunately for the Huskies, we've had so many guys go down in our defensive backfield that some of the next men stepping up have not necessarily been ready. You find guys out of position, out of place. And I know that's something that you guys have faced down there at USC as well. A lot of guys out of position, misreading plays. And that's what happens sometimes when you get guys that are not used to playing with each other, or new guys filling in, and you have all kind of communication issues. And I know USC has had a problem with big plays, giving up big plays. I think you guys give up more big plays than almost anybody in the nation. So
yeah, it's talking about lost in the sauce, man. We lost in Alfredo sauce sometimes, man. It's just like it's like, man, what in the world? Yeah, we give up some big plays, man, and primarily those plays really explosive plays come from the ground attack. That's why I was kind of asking about the ground attack. Jaden Ott, that running back for Cal last week, just man, he went off. He was slicing and dicing, man. So, but if we can eliminate some of those, man, I think we'd be okay. But yeah, the big play thing is just crazy, man. What defense exactly do you guys run over there? Is that like a 4?
It's like it switches from time to time. Like sometimes they run a 4-3. Sometimes they'll bring the linebacker up and put him on the edge and put him down like a down lineman.
Yeah.
So you'll see a 4-3 look. Sometimes they run a lot of for some reason we run a lot of nickel with the extra defensive back in there, a couple of safeties. So it depends on the situation. What we don't do a lot of, and I'm curious about it if it's just a personnel issue. We don't blitz a lot, and so if I think that's one of the things. Again, coming to the end of the season, I hope our defensive coordinators put that thing together and start throwing some blitzes at some of these quarterbacks, because that's a look that they haven't been getting a lot of from us this year. And we need to find a way to get extra pressure on these quarterbacks because, like I said, we had a lot of expectation out of our front four to get to opposing teams' quarterbacks this year. They just haven't had a lot of success getting to it.
Yeah. So real quick on the offensive side, who do we need to look for that we really? I know you've interviewed those receivers, man. I kind of put that clip on my Instagram and kind of introducing you to everybody, man. Who do we need to look for? I mean, who's the most explosive player that we don't know about from an offensive side of the ball?
Well, I mean, the thing about the University of Washington Husky wide receiver corps is I believe they're the best in the nation as a group, from top to bottom. These guys are incredible. Everybody knows who Rome Odunze is, or they should know, because he's probably the top receiver in the country. Him and Marvin Harrison go back and forth, in my opinion. But outside of Rome Odunze, there's a kid by the name of Chris Polk who is just as good. This kid, both of them are averaging over 100 yards per game. Think about that.
That's
Your
crazy.
top two receivers averaging over 100 yards a game.
That means you're getting the ball. I mean, he's getting that ball down the field.
He's getting it down the field, and he's not just training in on one particular guy. He's got numerous guys to throw to. So you got two guys that are averaging over 100 yards per game.
Yeah.
Then you got a guy by the name of Jeremy Bernard, transferred in from Michigan State. He is an absolute weapon at that position as well. One guy that we haven't talked about a lot in the last few weeks is Jalen McMillan. And Jalen McMillan is he really is the number 2 receiver on this team.
I've heard his name called quite a bit.
He's been hurt. So he's been hurt. So hopefully, from what I'm hearing out of the camp, is that he'll be back this week. So you talk about Jalen McMillan, you talking about Rome Odunze, you talking about Chris Polk, and Jeremy Bernard. These are 4 guys that are at the wide receiver position that can break the game open wide at any time. There's another guy by the name of Giles Jackson, transferred from Michigan a couple of years ago. So there's 5 guys at the wide receiver position right out the gate that could probably be the number 1 receiver at any other program in the country for sure. So keep your eye on Rome Odunze because he's going to make some incredible catches. Your best bet is to just limit those.
No doubt. As far as on the defensive side, who does USC need to watch for? I know you got the big I believe he's an interior guy. Can't remember his name.
Tuli Latuli.
No, not Tuli.
Asanoa. His name is real fun to say.
Yeah.
Tuli Latuli Asanoa. He's up front. He's a big guy that we hope to have back again up front, disrupting things. Off the edge, we're talking about Braylon Trice.
Yeah, that's him. Yeah,
Braylon Trice. Yeah, he's a guy that we wanted some more things out of him this year. Like I said, unfortunately, I think a lot of teams have schemed to keep him out of the mix a lot. So, you know, his sack production has been down from what was last year and what we were expecting. But they also have another guy off the other edge coming in. We call him ZTF. His name is Zion Tupulu Fatui. And you know, these are fun names to say, right?
Hey, you better than me, man. I'm lost in all types of sauce trying to say names, man.
So he's good. But we also, our middle linebacker is strong.
Have you, what about Randall Goldford? Has he got any run at all?
He's got some run, and he comes in and makes big plays. Like he's a heavy hitter.
Yeah,
so he'll come in. He's the guy that has big play ability. So you see his athleticism when he's out there. We just have so much depth at that linebacker position that sometimes they get in a rotation. And I don't know how I feel about rotating guys at a position like that.
You know what? It's funny that you're saying that because I was talking to I do videos every day, but you know, I feel like, and you know, as a running back, you cannot get in the rhythm, keep coming out the game like that. And, you know, any position really, it's like, how do you get in the flow of the game? And all this rotating stuff drives me crazy. But that's a whole other problem we got to address over here, man.
It is. I mean, but that's, you know, that's 2023 football. You know, I think, you know, a lot of these guys think, and these coaches, and they're thinking, okay, we don't want to wear out the tread on our guys. We want to see what this guy looks like in there. I think you get your guy and you stick with him until he's not your guy anymore. But that's not the way it works. Sometimes, like, I'll see our leading tackler on defense is a middle linebacker, Eddie Ulafosio. And so I'll see him in the game, number 5, big African kid, and it looked like he's running around. And then the next series, I won't see him at all. I'll see number 42 in there, Carson Bruner, who's another guy who's really good. But then 2 series later, I won't see him anymore. So it's weird. I don't know what's going on in there, but hey, we'll see what happens this week.
Yeah. So look, as we get ready to wind it down, I want to ask you this: you think UW would rather see USC drop back 40 times or run it 25 plus times?
That's a tough one, man. I honestly think they would rather see them run the ball, just because there's so much, you know, there's been so many injuries and so many problems in that defensive secondary, so many problems with communication with some of the young guys they have back there. And, you know, Caleb does a good job of finding, you know, his receivers as well. But I think it's more when he drops back sometimes. I think he has 9 touchdowns this season, doesn't he? I think he has I think he scored rushing 9 touchdowns.
Yeah, I believe it's around that. Total, he has I can't remember the stat. I want to say 20 something, I believe.
So yeah, my point in saying that is he's definitely a dual threat guy. So I think
big time. We're running a little occasionally the RPO stuff, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Stuff. So when he drops back, you know, that he's got a couple of different options. You know, if his receivers aren't open, he could take off and run. So that puts a lot more pressure on the defense. So I think they'd rather see the running game, USC try to, you know, dominate in the running game than drop back and pass.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. So we're gonna get to the score prediction real quick, and I want to know what your thoughts on before we let you out of here, man. We definitely appreciate you coming, man. You know, Vegas has this game it was a 4-point game. They had Washington 4-point favorites. Now they have them as a 3-point favorite, man. Any thoughts on that before you get into your score? I'm just trying to give you an opportunity to get it right.
Let's get it right, man. I'm going to say this. It depends on which Washington Husky team shows up. If it's the team that showed up this past couple of weeks versus Stanford versus Arizona State, I think it's going to be a close one, or maybe one where the Huskies get shocked and come up with an L. However, if it's the team that I've seen all season long, the team that went out to Michigan State and blow those guys' socks off, the team that came away with a big win versus Oregon.
I don't want to see that team.
There's not a lot of squads out there that want to see that team, man. If they come out like that, I think it's going to be a rough day for USC. I think honestly, Jay, the big difference in this game, if it comes down to a tight game like that, USC's special teams. You guys got a special kid back there,
Oh,
man,
yeah, Zach
in
Branch.
Branch. The Huskies are going to have to do a good job of keeping the ball out of his hands in the kicking game. So kick the ball away from him, kick it out of bounds, kick it out of the end zone. Don't let him get it. So
How's you guys' special teams though? Is it pretty decent? I seen
they,
you a kick
they
returner
have
once for a
not.
fact.
They haven't allowed any super big plays. Our defensive cover teams, our special team cover teams, the kickoff teams, and the punt coverage teams have been pretty good. They make big plays, big hits. I like it. As far as our return game and our special teams players making plays, there haven't been a lot of real explosive plays to this point in the season. But again, like I said, this could be the game where special teams decides it because both teams defensively are struggling. Offensively, we know that both teams can put up points and rack up a lot of yards. So what's going to be the difference? I think turnovers and I think special teams. So whichever team can come away, I think the winner in the turnover margin or make a big play in the special team is going to win. And I think I'm you know me, I'm all country, man. So I'm going with my dogs. I'm thinking they're going to be okay. Thinking they're getting healthy and they're going to come away with the dub.
Yeah. Man, hey, what's the score? Give me that score prediction.
Oh, man. Okay. I'm thinking the dogs score 38 points. I'm thinking 38? We score 38 points. I think it's going to be 38-35.
38-35. Yeah. Man, I think it's going to still be a shootout, as you alluded to, man. But I'm going to go with USC, man. I'm going to go 48-45 USC, man.
That's a lot of points, man. That's a basketball score, Jay.
Hey, it's you know what? I just think these two offenses. I mean, this is the type of offense. And once these guys start rolling, this is my thought process, my theory. I think once these guys start rolling, I'm not saying the defense is going to give up, but it's just going to be like, you know what? It's going to be crazy, man, because both of these guys have the ability, potential-wise, to really just do something that's just crazy. You're talking about both of these teams are in the top 10 as far as offensive-wise. I mean, it's only so much you can do. Everybody's going to be lost in the sauce at that point.
Yeah. I think that for the nation, the entire country should have their eyes tuned in at 4:30 on ABC, ESPN, because this is going to be a barn burner. If you want to see some offensive output, you're going to be wanting to have your channel tuned into the UW USC game at 4:30 on Saturday. And again, what we're looking at is two potential Heisman candidates going head to head once again this season in 2023. You can't ask for anything bigger and better than that, can you? I mean,
no, you can't, man. You can't. And you know what's crazy? Before we get out of here, T, they talked about this is the greatest the Pac-12 has been. Well, you know, really, the Pac-12 kind of always been like this as far as you talk about offensive output. But you know, they recognizing it now because they got some quarterbacks that came from SEC, Big Ten, all this stuff. But you know, it is what it is. But however, it's crazy that this is the last year of the Pac-12, and you know they got one of their best years in a long time, man. It's crazy. So any last words, Big T, before we get up out of here, man?
Man, all I'm going to say is, man, I'm looking forward to a big-time game. I know, flashing back to my years and when I was in college and playing for UW, I'll tell everybody this all the time. My favorite place to play outside of Husky Stadium is the Los Angeles Coliseum, man. The place is always electric. The vibe you get from being in that stadium, knowing that so many greats have graced that field, man, over the course of like 100+ years, the athletes that have been up and down that field, man. I just look forward to an exciting game. I hope this is something that both teams, both players, all the players from both sides will always remember. This is going to go down as one of the biggest clashes, you know, in recent history, man. So I'm looking forward to an exciting game, man. And I'm just say go Dogs.
Amen. So look, man, T, we appreciate you. Big T beat Utah. You guys play Utah when?
After this. Next week. Yeah, we got Murderers Row coming up.
Hey, we got Oregon next week. I can't even think of this.
Yeah, man. This is the time to be watching this Pac-12 right now. It's about to go down.
November is about to be crazy, man. But hey, no doubt we appreciate it, man. Definitely appreciate Not even close. USC going to get blown.
Wow.
You're going to get
Okay.
blown out. Hey, thank you. Hey, so anyway, T, until later on, everybody, man, appreciate you coming in. We out of here, man. Until later on, fight on, fight on, fight on.